Hey everybody, it's Bo the Mechanic again. Hey, I'm here. I'm fucking around a little bit. I got a bunch of stuff going on as usual in my life, but a customer just dropped off last night an awesome Isuzu Trooper. I'm trying to read while I'm talking. It's an Isuzu Trooper. This Ferrari, I put head gaskets on it like about 6 months ago or 8 months ago, and it's back. He said that it's missing out. And so I told him to drop it off last night. Man, he dropped it off. And so first thing this morning I got here and in the dog, and fucking of course fire it up and it is missing. Well, I wanted to show you guys kind of how you figure out what's missing and try and diagnose the problem when you don't have a computer and you don't have a scanner and you don't have any of that shit. I've talked about this in other little videos on how to diagnose a misfire. But this is a good example, you know, like I haven't done anything to it yet, you know, I mean, you can see I got some tools out, but I really hadn't done shit. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to listen, and we're going to try and figure out where the miss is coming from. So here we go. Well, maybe not. Maybe it won't start. Well, we'll jump it off. Then we'll start. Okay, so here we are, man. Your awesome Isuzu Trooper. I don't even know what year it is. It's a damn, let's see, 96 Isuzu Trooper. They all sound like this. I don't know why. They all knock. They all sound like shit. Every Isuzu I've almost ever seen from these year models, these 3.2s, 2.5s, I think it's got something to do with the rods or something. They just always tick, the lifter. Anyway, as you can see, right now, we're just sitting here. I just turned it on. I jumped off of the damn battery. The battery must be dead and they didn't charge it or something. As you can kind of see, the engine's kind of rocking. It's doing this number right here, which is your first clue that something's wrong. It's not firing on all 6 cylinders, because if it was, it'd be balanced. I don't know if you guys can even see how much it's rocking. It's not really, you know, that noticeable, but I mean, if you're sitting here watching it, I can definitely tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right off the bat. This car's got coils, coil packs, okay? It doesn't have spark plug wires, but it would work the same way if it did. These are coil packs. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 on this side and 3 on that side. And if it was spark plug wires, it'd be the same thing. There'd be 3 spark plug wires going back to the center back here with a wire, just like on any other car. So what you want to do is just start unplugging them and see what happens. So let's try that. We're going to try and unplug one of the coils and see what happens. Now when I unplug this coil, what I want to hear is the engine change in RPM. I want to hear it die down, okay? And that lets me know that I took the cylinder offline and it's no longer getting spark and gas and exploding, okay? So let's try it and see. All right, here we go. You ready? You can see where I'm at right here. Watch and listen. You see that? That was a huge change. Now I'll put it back. Big change in RPM. So we know that this cylinder is working 100%. It's getting spark and it's also getting fuel. So we don't have to worry about this cylinder. Now we move on to the next cylinder, which is right here. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through all 6. I'm going to go through, I know this one's good, I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to check it and see if it's good. I'm going to do this one, and if all 3 work, then I'm going to jump to the other side, because I know that all 3 of these cylinders have spark and fuel because it's changing the RPM. And if it wasn't getting fuel, or if it wasn't getting spark, you'd have what's called a dead cylinder, and that cylinder won't do anything. It won't change the RPM at all. You can unplug it all day long, and it won't do anything. So I'm going to try this really quick, and then we'll come back. Hey, I'm still here. Check it out. Okay, so we're here on this Isuzu. I already checked all those 3 cylinders. They were working fine. All 3 of those cylinders on that bank on the passenger side, they work great, getting spark, getting fuel. Now we're on the driver's side. I already figured it out. I don't know for sure what's going on, but I know which cylinder it is. So you're definitely getting your way there, okay? Watch this. I just did the same thing that I told you guys. It's hard to see, but there's a coil. I did it to that one, and here's a coil. I did it to that one, and this back cylinder, I did it to this one. Now watch what happens when I unplug it. No change in noise at all. So basically what this tells me is that this back cylinder, something's going on with it. that back cylinder is either not getting fuel or it's not getting spark, okay? Or somehow maybe the compression is completely off and it can't do anything, but that's highly irregular. Cars will usually run, any gasoline engine will run at about 100 PSI. If it's got 100 PSI of compression or above, you're ready, it'll work, okay? And that's why it's important, you know, you don't really need the scanner, what you need is the fucking brain. And a lot of mechanics don't have a brain. The compression gauge is a cheap thing you can go buy at Harbor Freight or any of these tool companies. It might cost you $10, but the compression gauge will tell you how high your compression is on each cylinder. And if you know if you've got over 100 PSI, you know it's going to fire off. It might not run great, but it's going to run. Like I said, I mean, that's a different note. I'm pretty positive this thing's got good compression because I just put head gaskets on it not even, you know, a year ago. So I'm sure that's not what it is. So now, the reason I tell you all this is now we're going to have to figure out, A, does it not have fuel, or B, does it not have spark? It's one of the two. Most likely, 99% likely. So what do? You say, man, like, oh, do you just go buy a new coil, buy a new spark plug, buy a new injector? You could do that. You could just throw all those parts at it and see if it fixes it, and probably one of them will. But what I'm going to do is, because I'm a cheap bastard, is I'm going to take this spark plug coil, this whole coil, I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to put it on a known good cylinder, such as one of these. Maybe I'll put it on this one, okay? I know that that cylinder was good, and I know that this one isn't, I don't know what's wrong with it, something's wrong with it. So when I take this coil off and I put it on the good one and it still works, what I've verified is that the coil is still working. If the coil works here, and I put it over there and it doesn't work, something's going on. Either you're not getting a signal there, or it's got an injector that's broken or something. So we're trying to use deductive logic, they call it, in science class to try and figure out what's going on, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna yank that coil off, I'm gonna put it on the other one, and I'm gonna come back and we'll see what happens, all right? Hola. Hey, so here, I checked it, just like I told you guys I swapped those two coils around, right? And no change, okay? So what that tells me is that I moved one coil that was not working to a known good spot that has a good signal, and it changes and it works great on the other cylinder, but it's not working in that same spot. So I put a good coil in there and it still doesn't work. So it leaves me with a couple options, okay? Obviously the coil is still good because it's working on the other side. So either A, it's not getting fuel from the fuel injector, the fuel injector's not dumping fuel into the combustion chamber. B, it's not getting spark, okay? So it would be getting spark, that coil's good, so I'm not getting a signal for spark, okay? And this is where it gets kind of shitty and people get really scared, okay? And I understand why. So this is like a little bit more advanced than most people can handle, okay? But where I'm gonna go, you know, like I said, I could take everything apart and switch the fuel injector, and that's one option, but I don't wanna do that because it's hard and it's kind of like buried here in this engine underneath the intake plenum, and that sucks, so I don't wanna do that right now. Another thing is, I use my eyes, you know, like I use those eyes that your girlfriend bitches that you don't use, and I noticed right there's a wire right here that somebody's fucked with in the past, okay? And this wire's going down to that other side. As you can see, looky there. See that blue wire is going to here. And this is like a transistor, or whatever they're called, module, okay? And so somebody in the past has wired directly into this damn thing. And so what that tells me is there's probably a break in the wire somewhere to that injector. Well, it just so happens that's like number 6 or whatever, and it just so happens number 3 on the other side's not working. So, you know, just with deductive reasoning, I'm thinking maybe I should just get an LED light and check and see if I've got spark over there on that wire. And if I don't, I might have to wire one of these wires straight to that injector. Maybe somehow the wiring harness is broken, or a connector's broken, or it's rusted out. This truck's old, you know. But this is one of those things where you got to kind of use your eyes. And I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm just saying it could be what it is. And that's just looking at this one's is already fucked up, so that one might be fucked up. So, you know, that's where I go from here. I think that's what I'm going to try. You might ask, how am I going to do that? Well, I don't have any fancy tools, you know. I do, but I'm not going to use them. Here's what I got. This is an LED light that I stole out of some piece of machinery. I don't even remember what it was. It was probably like a stereo or something. I don't even remember. It's just straight up LED light, okay? It's really simplistic. If you connect it, positive and negative, it'll light up. Let's see. Well, it's an LED, so it's not going to work that way because I have it backwards. I wish I was that smart. You can kind of see there, it works. So now this LED doesn't use very much wattage. So I'm going to turn the car on, and I'm going to, you know, stick one of these in the negative. Obviously, I guess this white's negative. So I'll have to ground this out somewhere in the chassis, and then I'm going to stick this red line into that wiring harness and that coil, wherever it is right there. There's 3 wires in there, so I'm going to just start checking. While the car's running, I'm going to check and see if I've got a blinking light. Usually what happens on these cars is that they're supplied voltage all the time. That means they've always got voltage, and they're looking for a ground signal. And so that's usually how they switch these things. And I think the injectors are the same way, I think. But I'm kind of going to just play with it and see. I'm going to see if I get any signal coming out. I should have some type of blinking light in between a combination of those 3 wires. And so if I don't get that, which is kind of what I'm expecting, that means I'm going to have to, you know, check up here again on that thing, this transistor thing, the module. And if I do have it there, then I'll have to run a wire. But, you know, the purpose of this video, like I said, wasn't necessarily to show you guys how complicated all this stupid wiring shit is. But what the purpose of the video is to show you how you can diagnose this yourself. It doesn't matter if you got a Chevy pickup, or an Audi, or a Maserati, or a Lamborghini. It doesn't fucking matter, dude, okay? All that matters is that, like, you observe, you look at the car, it's shaking, it doesn't sound right, it's missing, it feels like it's missing when you drive it, and then you come out here and you start yanking spark plugs. You can either yank the spark plug wires, you know, if you have an old Chevy 350, you just gotta be careful because it'll shock the crap out of you. So you better use some pliers like this, and some insulated gloves like that maybe, or bigger gloves, because an old Chevy pickup will shock you. So you just unplug one at a time, and if you hear that cylinder die out, then you know it was running good. And you go to the next one, and the next one, and you try every single one until you figure out where the problem was. And it might be this cylinder, it might be the other cylinder, who knows, you know? And that's what you're using. And then, like I said, the next thing you're going to do is kind of go down the logic path, okay? Like, all my spark plugs are working and it's firing. Well, then you know it's not a spark. You know, maybe the carburetor's messed up, or maybe whatever's fucked up. This is just how you do it. You know, this is the mentality you need to have to try and figure out what's going on. So let me do this now, and we'll check it out and see if I can fix it.